the cutting edge of your knife is only 5%. Knife is otherwise a piece of metal which is generally used for spreading, but if you want to use it for cutting, you will have to give it that 5 or 10% edge which is cutting. So only 10% of your knife which has an edge can cut. The other is only required for spreading, but if that edge is not there, you will not be able to make the full purpose of the knife that you created. Talent. And we in HR make the greatest blunder of calling everyone talent. We began by renaming the personnel department as HR department. We thought magic was achieved and everything got done, everything will be done. We call them HR, right? Human resources. But nothing happened. Thereafter, we now have started this new fad of calling everyone instead of human resources as talent. Everyone is talent. From the lowest man, from the watchman to the chairman, everyone is talent. By changing the name, we believe that we will find the solution. That is not really the change. The real thing is, call them human resources, call them people, call them whatever you are. That is the 90%, the real talent that you are talking about is the 10% talent that you bring in to create a cutting edge effect in your organization, which brings the real value driving in the company. And not everybody will just masquerade. And therefore, we will have to learn to not necessarily socialize all our processes and offer them Udupi restaurant idlis in a boutique restaurant. When someone is coming to a boutique restaurant, he is expecting something uniquely different, which is so close to his personal choice that he is expecting you to design programs, processes, systems which are bespoke to his requirement and not the mass scale Udupi food which is served out to him. But we can't do that because we don't talk to our people. We don't have the knowledge, we don't talk to our people, we do not have time to invest in them, and our own expertise in trying to draw is limited to the processes we can draw. We were never taught about emotions, we were never taught about positive psychology, we were taught about drawing personnel, how recruitment happens, how psychometric tests has to be done. So we put all the processes and the superficialities around it, but the real meat is not there. And then for 300 years we put motivational models and say, why does my motivational model not work? Why am I not able to, in spite of doing everything, retain my people? Why are my people not happy? Why are my businesses not creating value? But if you do not really understand the prime resource that creates your value from the inner reality of what he needs to be understood, pray, how do you really expect that value to get created? So suffer you may, look at best practices, go into a hospital and try and see someone taking a red tablet and you keep taking the red tablet under the belief that if it cured him, it may cure you. But problems are totally different and he will not find the same solution that you are looking out for. Therefore, important is to change the entire paradigm in which HR departments look at their jobs and try and see how we do the 7 HR jobs effectively. HR departments anywhere in the world, and this is, I can tell you with reasonable guarantee of around 40 years of corporate experience in human resources, can do only 7 jobs. Get, give, grow, guard, guide, govern, and germinate. Simple. Nothing more than that. You can write volumes and volumes on each chapter, call it by any fancy name, but the predominant, if you remove the dilution, the undistilled, or rather the distilled 7 lessons are the 7 jobs. Now, when you do your get, give, grow, guard, guide, govern, germinate, how do you really take care of the positive psychology you require to be able to attract people who are your prime resources to create greater value after understanding many things, and that is very critical. Let's look at what we do with our many processes. Example, how do we do recruitment process, the get process? What is our expertise? Our expertise lies in designing forms. Interview form, well designed, lovely colors, lovely columns, tick mark, behaviorally anchored questions, etc., etc. We certainly have expertise in trying to understand how headhunters work and what contracts to be signed with the headhunters. That's our expertise. We are able to know whether we should pay 33%, 25%, 16%, or 8.33% of which components. And we try and focus on 2 more things One is we focus on some kind of a pseudo interview process which does not give any result. Any interview gives you only positively tested 0.24 factor of success, which means 76% of the time, if you rely only on interviewing as a predominant source for selection, your answer will go wrong. Test it out. I'm not talking statistics out of my head. So your interview process doesn't work, but we of course try and draw science out of it. And over-clinical, over-intellectualized psychometric processes. So all of us will go and get certified with Thomas International or which are the other methods? Harrison or many of them. And then we try to put that under a pseudo belief that we will be doing some bit of what looks like science to be able to identify the real emotions that we are talking about, which are drivers of behavior. Because if you do not acquire that, and I possibly believe, rightly or wrongly, that talent acquisition is the key driver of HR success. You recruit right, and most of your problems you can solve. Otherwise, you will have to decide for yourself whether you want to invest your energy in getting to the gymnasium, or you want to then not do that and end up landing in a hospital where every treatment is to be given to a wrong resource you have hired in the organization. Rather, why not put that energy to try and understand and select the right resource to come into your organization? And that is one of the most important driver of happiness in organizations. How much of time are we having? 7 minutes. So let me cut out a lot many things. Let me come to what I need to tell you. So if you look at what drives human behavior, and this is a formula that you guys need to certainly each one of you understand, and maybe someday if you want to do a little more in-depthful thinking, Prem, let me know, maybe one day when I'm in Delhi, I'll run it for you as a session for you all. H is equal to S plus C plus V. And this formula, never let it get out of your head. H is equal to S plus C plus V. Alright? So what is H here? H is the enduring level of happiness. Remember, the word is enduring level of happiness. So how long is the moment of happiness that you create for your people in the organization enduring? And why am I saying enduring? Because human beings get charged only when their happiness is endured and not momentarily driven. All your incentives, all your spot rewards, all your cosmetic things that you do to retain people or to motivate them under a belief that would motivate them are momentary moments of happiness. And momentary moments of happiness do not create real happiness in the organization. The ultimate goal is, how do you create that enduring level of happiness in the organization? Therefore, the other balance of the entire equation is H. How do I create enduring moments of happiness? And when you have to create the enduring moments of happiness, there are three things you need to look at. One is S, the other is C, and the third is V. S is the set range. What does that mean? Set range predominantly means that whenever you are born, you biologically inherit it. And this is very surprising, what you biologically inherit. You biologically inherit in a scale a range of small point in which your natural tendency will go. Whether the external stimulus may be whatever, your natural tendency, or what you call the internal steerman, in positive psychology it is called internal steerman, that internal steerman within you immediately brings it in that small range which he has inherited between happiness and sadness, which he has inherited from his biological parents. Now you, with your inducements, now there is something called a hedonistic treadmill. Now the hedonistic treadmill means that when you are offering him some benefits, he has an opportunity to up his level of natural range that he has inherited. Momentarily you can increase it. Now the question is that this comes with an internal thermostat which brings it down within a short while. After you have given him the promotion letter, 2 months later he is back to his old level. For 2 months he goes into his high. That means you have upped the level of his natural pattern, then he goes high. Now the question is, what do we need to do in organizations in this set range to ensure that that little hedonistic treadmill which you have temporarily taken up, how do we sustain it such that the treadmill within himself, which brings him down to his natural level, does not operate? But if you do only those temporary things, you bought the family a trip to San Diego. I worked in San Diego and it's a beautiful place, so I'm using San Diego. Suppose you say, okay, fine, we bought a family. So for that period, he's very happy. But after a few days when he comes back, level will come down to his natural set range, and that's where the steer well will bring him. That's not helping him at all. That's not happening. So how do we ensure that that high end is continuously retained, and what programs and processes we do to keep increasing that? And that is very, very important. The second is the C, the circumstances. The mind models each one of us carry within ourselves through learning, experiences and everything else on concepts like money, power distance in the organization. In power distance, whether organization or anywhere else, power distance, influence, gratitude, gender biases, any kind of other things. So he brings a mind model. Now do you realize that if a person as an individual is coming with a mind model which is saying that on these concepts my mind model is something else, versus you are throwing those elements back to him thinking that you are either putting that range up of motivation or you are really enduring him, and his mind model is saying no, it's not going to work out. Look at what is happening on diversity, the same problem. We have been brought up in a culture that does not make us inclusive in our behavior, not only from a gender perspective, but from many other elements. And then we try to push him by forcing him to say, no, 10% we should get women. Till there is a pressure on him, he will do that. We believe that it is working because we have put pressure on him. Leave that pressure out and see what will happen. The meter will bring him back to his Stearman level of natural range. That is what the second factor of happiness is. So how do we up his range of circumstantial understanding, and how do we then sustain it at that level is the second factor. And the third is individual's variable factors, the V part of it. Each individual believes, and it is very individual, what he controls from the variable and what he cannot control. There are some things I can control which Prem can't control, some things that Prem can control in the environment which I can't control, and we are designed for it. Now therefore, SCV factors, which are core factors to human behavior, when you design your get, give, grow, guard, guide, govern and germinate processes, if you are unmindful of any of that, you are spending your enterprise money more on trying to pay for the insurance to the hospital rather than a membership to the gymnasium. And that is what the message is. Happiness is not a sustainable end that you are looking at it. It is a continuous journey. Because human mind is predominantly a comparative mind. You are all very happy at a moment of time till your neighbor, who has nothing to do with you or your performance, gets a promotion, and suddenly the most happy man in the organization becomes the most unhappy man in the organization. What happened in his circumstances and configuration? Nothing happened. But it happened to someone else and he suddenly starts feeling it. So therefore, happiness is a moving target. Unless you understand it, you will never be able to create a happy organization. Therefore, the suggestion is understand people, understand perceptions in positive psychology, understand the emotions of the prime resource which is creating value for you, and ensure that there is happiness not only momentarily when you are there, but the ongoing sustenance of that happy level is maintained at the same time. The most powerful quote that I have ever heard in life before I end. Who will do this? First of all, do HR managers have the ability to debate their own contradictions, their own cognitive dissonance within themselves to come to a conclusion that is this my belief or is that my belief? Because we ourselves are human beings, we are ourselves so confused. Your job is like this confusion is not prevailing only in HR managers, it prevails in everyone else in the enterprise. How will you bring a conclusion to that internal debate is very, very important. So you are very important to the system. Don't ever undermine it. But do meaningful job. Don't provide transportation. That's not your job. Don't focus on ensuring that when the world is creating value in boardrooms, you are taking care of catering and air conditioning. Don't do that. Go and tell your board how you can really create happiness, and that happiness can contribute to value, because the board's responsibility is only to ensure that value is created. Who will do it? You will do it by focusing on it. ख्वाहिशों से नहीं गिरते फूल दामन में, ख्वाहिशों से नहीं गिरते फूल दामन में, वक्त की साख को हिलाना होगा, कुछ नहीं होगा अंधेरों को रोशनी से, अपने हिस्से का दिया खुद ही जलाना।
I just heard a word coming from the audience. Fantastic. And that's the same word that I had in my mind while stepping up on the stage. As in his words, I would like to add up that, sir, this was the session which gave us all the enduring moment of happiness. Thank you so much for this session, sir. And to extend the vote of thanks for Adil Malia, sir, I would like to request Mr. Debashish Das, who's founder CEO of iLinkus HR Solutions, also lead Gurugram Zone National HRD Network, Delhi and NCR chapter. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Debashish Das.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning to Dr. Adil Malia and Dr. Prem Singh. It was actually an honor to listen to all of you, and apne hisse ka diya hum sabko jalana hai is actually a message of empowerment to all HR people, that I think the future lies with HR. I wish to thank you for the wonderful session, and I have some takeaways which I would like to share with everyone. First one is emotions are okay. I thought otherwise. When we will talk about emotions, we felt that, emotions are a sign of weakness, but emotions are okay was a key learning. Connect strength of people to happiness, a very, very powerful, message. And the last formula which you gave, very well articulated, simplified way of putting happiness to set range, circumstances, and variables. So it's a very, very interesting way to put a very complex subject into a simplified way. I think that's what all great speakers or thought leaders do. You have contributed that to the NHRD Summit today. Thank you very much.
I would like to request Prem Singh sir to please come up on stage, and we would like to cherish the moment by having Prem Singh sir to deliver the memento to Dr. Adil Malia, please. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for this great session.
Thank you very much.
And I would request a group photograph if it is possible, sir. Yeah, thank you.
Group photo ke liye, can I have my both gurus also?
Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for a group photograph having with Mr. VP Singh and Captain Virender Singh on stage. Thank you so much, esteemed guests. Ladies and gentlemen, after having the special address on happiness and organizational excellence, where integrating happiness at workplace and business outcomes was discussed, we would like to move on to our session 5, which is on happiness, harmony, and well-being. And this is going to be one of my most favorite sessions after Dr. Adil Malia's session. For taking you all on a journey to this session 5, I would like to request my colleague on stage to anchor the session forward. Ladies and gentlemen, would like to request Meenakshi over here on stage. Over to you, Meenakshi.
Thank you so much, Darpan. Moving on to the session 5th, on the theme Happiness, Harmony, Well-being in the Era of Digital Disruption. May I request you all to kindly join me in inviting our dignitaries to the stage. We have our session moderator, Dr. VP Singh, advisor and professor Jaipuria, and ex-advisor Patanjali. Our esteemed panelists for the sessions are Mr. R. Anand, Principal Consultant and Advisor HR, HCL Technologies, author of Happiness at Work. Mr. Shailendra Sharma, Principal Advisor to the Director Education, Government of Delhi. Mr. Jairam Filkana, President and Global Chief Human Resource Officer, Glenmark Pharmaceutical. Dr. Ashish, Happiness Expert and Director, Talent Advisory, Concentric. Professor Rahul Singh, Assistant Professor, Jaipuria Institute of Management. May I request you all to kindly join me in welcoming them on stage. Thank you so much, sir. Over to Dr. VP Singh.
So, आदिल भाई ने हमारा काम आसान कर दिया है क्योंकि जिस तरह से उन्होंने समा बांधा उसको आगे बढ़ाने की बात है. I will be switching from Hindi to English because I basically am very comfortable in Hindi and Bangla. I'm not very comfortable in English, but I will once in a while. I'm more happy in Hindi. So, आदिल, हम ये कह रहे थे कि आपने समा बांध दी और एक अच्छा कॉन्टेक्स्ट हमारे लिए तैयार कर दिया, एक प्लेटफॉर्म तैयार कर दिया. और इतनी शेरो शायरी आपने करी तो मेरे को गुलजार की बात आपने करी तो एक चीज़ याद आ रही थी. लॉन्ग बैक देयर वाज अ फिल्म कॉल्ड आनंद. दिस वाज अ राजेश खन्ना, अमिताभ बच्चन फिल्म, you know, most of you have seen. And in that film, there was a dialogue which in a way summarized the whole concept of happiness. And this dialogue was between a terminally ill cancer patient, Anand. His name was Anand. And he was talking to his doctor, Dr. Bhaskar Banerjee. And Anand said at one point of time in that film, कि बाबू मोशाय, हम लोग जिंदगी की बड़ी खुशियों की तलाश में छोटी छोटी खुशियों को भूल जाते हैं. And I think to a very large extent it summarizes your life philosophy, that how do you look at life. I'm very fortunate that I have 5 illustrious panelists with me. They're almost like Pandavas. And I'm going to leverage their wisdom, their knowledge, their competence. And I just wanted to set the ball rolling by making a couple of comments. Kind of an extension of what Adil was talking about. After all, what is the purpose of life? There are a lot of philosophers who say that ultimately, for any rational human being, happiness is the ultimate goal. In our own local traditions and religion, dharma, artha, kam, moksha, liberation, that's the ultimate happiness. Having said that, when we look back last 30, 40 years, we are finding a emergence of what is being called happiness industry. So there is a counter part also, counter thing also happening that probably we are talking too much of happiness. And Adil was talking, referring to this great psychologist, positive psychologist, Martin Seligman. And I recall at one point of time, he said, Martin Seligman, those who are young people who have not heard Martin Seligman, would like you to do a Google search. He has been father or founder of what is called positive psychology. At one point of time, he says that don't use the word happiness. It is so overused and so generalized that it has lost its meaning and is no more useful. That's one way of looking at the word happiness. Then he also says that life is too complex for monism, not one way of happiness. What we have done this morning is we have structured this session, and we have structured this session in what we would like to call 6 sub-themes. So this is what we will do today, and what we plan to do is to finish this dialogue from the stage in next 60 minutes. So what we are going to do is to understand together, with your help as well, what this word happiness means, the definition of happiness. What are the different types of happiness? And how does it manifest? So that's one happiness sub-theme. Second, we will also spend some time to understand the sources of happiness, from where this happiness comes, the harmony part, the well-being part. The third sub-theme will be to what extent technology is making